What's going on, guys? Welcome back for your Season 3 rank tutorial. I'm going to break this up into a couple different parts, I think. Firstly, we're going to go over landing zones. The areas enclosed in red are generally going to be pretty hot, and the areas enclosed in green are where my team and I have been landing, and they're usually pretty cold. However, this is just a general rule of thumb, and contracts are actually going to determine where you land. Scavengers are going to be hot, so for instance, if there's a scavenger on a green zone, we're not going to land there. My team and I have been doing recon drone contracts, which are the safest, and if there's a scavenger in close proximity to the recon drone contract, you're probably not going to want that contract. Another thing to consider when landing is how many POIs interact with the buy station that you plan on buying your loadout at. For instance, headquarters and half of prison have to use the same buy at grandma's. On the other hand, lower industry and harbor both have their own buy. Landing ships is inherently risky because you put yourself at a disadvantage by landing at a lower elevation and needing to rotate up into a hot zone once you've bought your loadout. If none of the green zones are available because there's a scavenger in close proximity, you could try landing at industry, bioweapon, chemical, headquarters, or stronghold, but you risk running into teams on landing because they're large POIs. So in this instance, there's a recon drone contract at harbor, and we'll probably have loadout within the first 45 seconds of the game. Ideally, we'll pop a UAV to see which rotation is best, but either way, my team and I are taking the redeploy balloon and capturing ultimate height, which is prison. Immediately rotating to ultimate height is a smart play because of something called sandwiching. Sandwiching is when you find yourself between two teams, and while it can happen at the same elevation, it's particularly difficult when one team has elevation in the sandwich. So, for instance, if there's a team on elevation at yellow and there's a team at the same elevation on red, it's going to be hard to do anything about the team on elevation at yellow because they have an inherent height advantage, because they'll be able to play headies looking down at you, and you looking up at them, your full body will be exposed. If you find yourself in this situation, evacuate if possible. If chemical is unoccupied, a rotation into chemical is smart. If chemical is occupied and an evacuation isn't possible, rotating into the weaker of the two teams is the best possibility, so you'll want to push red. If you play defensive on green, eventually one of the two teams is going to push, and you'll end up getting third-partied. Now that my team and I have captured Prism Roof, we'll be able to survey the map for activity and easily put ourselves at a height advantage for which POI we decide to attack. For instance, if there's activity at either of the POIs encircled in red, Courtyard Wall will be a great vantage point. Another thing to consider when preparing for your hypothetical fight at Courtyard Wall is something called trigger discipline. If you start shooting at the team circled in red and you're not able to deal significant damage or down one, it's going to make the push from green to red extremely difficult because they'll be prepared and on defensive positions. Another thing to consider is that you don't put yourself in a sandwich by pushing down from your elevated position to red and then having a team shoot from second floor window of industry, or by staying on Courtyard Wall for so long that you end up putting yourself at a height disadvantage to prison roof. If you can't start the fight from height, the best thing to do is try to maintain discretion and push down as a team to the wall and start the fight that way. Team play is a huge aspect of this season's ranked resurgence. In my opinion, even more so than last season. I believe this is because of the closer proximity to enemy teams on this smaller map. So maximizing comms, aka communicating with your teammates, will give you the best chance of your teammates understanding and cooperating with your plays. If you watched my last tutorial, it was during Zone 1 and 2 that I advised being aggressive, and that still applies here. By late Zone 2, you should be preparing to capture the map's highest elevation within Zone 3. For Season 3, each rank's deployment fee was increased by 10 SR, so getting out there in early game and getting kills is super important, especially when you're getting up in the higher ranks. You're not going to keep ranking up past Crimson if you're getting wins with no kills. Once you've secured the map's highest elevation, which in this instance is going to be Prison, you're going to want to hang out there until Zone 4. All you have to do is watch out for the entry points to Prison Roof, which I've marked in yellow. Here's a zip line, there's a ladder, scaffolding, gondola, another zip line, ladder, and staircase. Defending all of these access points as a team is impossible, so you might want to limit yourself to the area enclosed in green for Zone 3. You'll have to defend rotations from Control Center and Headquarters. For instance, Headquarters might try to push the staircase, and Control Center might take the zip line or the ladder. On Prison Roof, there's a wall dividing areas that I've marked with a red and a blue X. For instance, if you have a teammate at the red X defending zipline and ladder, and you're the teammate on the other side of the wall marked with the blue X, you'll be separated from your team and you won't be able to help your teammate defend if a team does push up. And vice versa, your team won't be able to protect you from, per se, a team that pushes up from staircase because there won't be any cover for your team to revive you. If you've successfully defended prison roof up until zone 4, you're in a great position, but you're not out of the woods yet. In zone 4, you'll probably find a team positioned on top of water tower, teams from chemical, industry, and harbor fighting each other here and here. And it might be tempting to give up height and drop down to this wall here, which will give you a good vantage point over the fights occurring at a lower elevation. But you'll find yourself at height disadvantages to both water tower and prison. In most instances, you're not going to be able to do anything about water tower, so you're just going to have to work around them by either playing underneath of them or the courtyard walls. Before leaving elevation at prison roof, you're going to need to drop down as a team and secure both the third and the second floor and anybody coming from showers. Once you've accomplished that, your primary concern is going to be water tower. Make sure to stay on cover to defend yourself from that height position. Water tower will eventually be forced down, and it's at that point that you can use your height advantage to wipe the rest of the teams remaining on the map. In closing, my experience climbing to Iridescent in Season 3 was even more challenging than last season's. I think some attributes that are going to maximize your team's probability of success are maximizing callouts, preventing sandwiches, landing in safe areas, moving fast and aggressive during early game, and playing defensive and coordinated during late game. I hope you guys found this helpful. Good luck with your journey getting to Iridescent this season, and give me a follow if you like this content.